Welcome to our cook along. This is our summer gluten-free GCSE style cook along. Today I'm showing you how to make a healthier version of a Swiss roll, and we're making it gluten-free, and obviously it can be dairy-free as well depending on the fillings that you're doing. So if you are going to cook along with me, the first thing that I would just advise, we're not going to start yet, is just get your oven on. So I've put the oven on at 190 degrees C, gas mark 5. So get that on, just get the oven nice and warm, because the cooking process is actually quite short, it doesn't take very long. Get all your ingredients together. If you are someone who is studying a GCSE level, then you will know that you should have all your ingredients on trays, separated out, and then you will also need a separate tray for your utensils. The utensils you're going to need: sieve to sieve your flour, a large metal spoon for the folding. I've also got here scissors to cut your greaseproof paper, a little bit of grease for the tin as well. And obviously, depending on your filling, you may need a separate bowl and a spoon for your filling as well. That's really important when you are doing it as part of your GCSE, okay? So get all your ingredients ready. You can see I've already got one here, but I'm going to talk you through the whole thing and show you all the steps. So welcome everyone. If you're just joining us, we haven't started yet. I'm just talking through what we're going to do. We're actually going to show you different skills. So if you're wanting to get your children involved in cooking, we're going to show various skills today. We're going to show whisking, folding in, lining tins, rolling the Swiss roll as well. So there's a really good way of encouraging extra cookery skills, and that's really what this is all about, plus how to change it so it's gluten-free and also healthier, so lower sugar. So welcome everyone. Right, let me just show you what we're going to do. So if you are new to our cook-alongs and you want the ingredients, then you need to sign up to our cook-along blog, and you will be mailed out a link to the ingredients. Actually, this recipe is so simple, and I'll talk you through it anyway. The first thing I'm going to use is, because it takes quite a long time to whisk, is I'm actually going to use, this is an old electric whisk. I've had this one for years, but it works. You need 3 eggs. These are our own chicken eggs, so they're probably slightly large, but medium to large eggs. I like to have them at room temperature. I find that they whisk better and nice and fresh ideally. Now, normally you would add quite a lot of sugar. I'm not adding sugar. What I've actually got in here, I don't know if you can see, Nathan, is xylitol. Now, xylitol is a natural sweetener, low GI, does not raise your blood sugar. It normally comes from birch trees, and it looks like caster sugar, but it's not going to raise your blood sugar, about 1/3 of the calories as well, so it's a really useful alternative. So I've put that in. Now this might get a little bit noisy. Now you can see here, glass bowl, and I often will add either a clean J cloth, which is slightly damp, or a tea towel. Now the reason for that is because you don't necessarily want the bowl always moving around. So you don't have to have that, but it can be quite useful, and you're going to need to grip your bowl. Now, if you've just joined us, because I know some people have just joined us, get your oven on if you're cooking with us. 190 degrees C, gas mark 5. The other thing which I put on the recipe sheet was the tin. This is a standard Swiss roll tin. This one's from Lakeland. It is non-stick, but to get it out, you need to line it with some greaseproof paper, and then what I've done is I've just greased it again because if you grease it well, it's going to come off nice and easily. Now sometimes what is quite nice to add a bit of texture to your sponge is to get a little bit of extra xylitol and just sprinkle it over the base of the tin. I don't know if you can see that, Nathan. Yeah, is that good? So, and that will just give it a bit of texture when you pour your batter in. So get that prepared. Swiss roll tin, Lakeland are very good for all of their sort of good tins that come out well, bake well, and get your oven on. So now we're going to whisk. So to get it nice and frothy, this is a really key point. You need it lovely and airy. You want to be moving the whisk backwards and forwards as you whisk. This incorporates much more air. If you just leave it there, you're going to have a lot of it that's not properly aerated. This is the same if you are whisking, so creams and things like that as well. You can use a hand whisk, but it might take you a long time. Now this could take 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not going to do it for that long, but I just want to show you what we do. So you can see now that I'm going to just turn the bowl slightly. I'm moving the whisk backwards and forwards because that will help to aerate it. I'm just going to get it up to a higher speed. And remember, you can ask any questions as we go along. But I just think this is such a good recipe, cheap as well. So really, it's just a load of eggs, a bit of flour, and xylitol, and that's it. And you can make these savoury, and I'll talk you through how you can make these savoury as well. So backwards and forwards, and you will need to do this for at least 5 minutes. It's not a quick procedure. If you want it to be nice and airy, you really need to whisk for quite a long time. Gradually, what's going to happen is you're breaking down the egg protein and you're incorporating that sugar. And by moving it backwards and forwards, you're going to get a lot of lovely air in that as well. You need it nice and light. So after about 5, maybe 10 minutes, depending on your whisk, show you what you get to. So that is still, if I pour that up like that, you can see that is quite runny still. That is not ready at all. Nathan, would you like to do a close-up actually? So this one, I've been whisking for longer, that's why my arm is aching. And I just want to show you the difference. So I'll just carry on whisking this. So can you see what I'm going to do? Well, it's much more pale. Now if I pour this out like that, can you see that it's quite thick and you get a sort of mark as you move the batter around, so it leaves an imprint. Can you see that? And it should be nice and light, and you can also, if I just compare it, obviously I know that's a slightly bigger bowl, but can you see the difference in colour as well? So this one has literally had, what, a minute? It will need another 5-10 minutes. This one has probably had 5, maybe 6 minutes of solid whisking, and you can see it's thicker, it's pale, and it's frothy. And that's what you want, okay? So you will need to whisk for quite a long time, I'm afraid. Now, the whole point of that is to get lots of air. That's really important. So what we don't want to do now is get rid of that air. So what I've got in here is I've got some gluten-free self-raising flour, or you could use plain flour and a teaspoon of baking powder. Some people like to add just a dash of something like xanthan gum, but you don't really need it. That's really just to hold it together, but you don't really need it. Now you've got to be careful at this stage. We're going to fold in. Now, what you don't want to do is get all of that air out. So what I'm going to do is put in a little bit of that flour and then just very carefully sieve that over it. And then I'm going to repeat. So you want to keep your sieve very close to the batter, because if I have it up high, it's going to hit the batter quite hard and you're going to end up getting rid of some of that lovely air, which is you don't want. You want it to be nice and light. Now we're going to fold in. So that's an easy procedure. Metal spoon, and you're just going to cut and lift up. Cut and lift up. So Nathan, can you just do a close-up of this so people can see? Now I've used all flour in this one. However, you'll notice that some of these Swiss rolls that I've posted in the past are coloured, and this is where you could change it. So I'm just going to show you. So lift up, and then you're going to cut down, lift up, and you don't want to do this very long. It's not a case of doing it loads and loads. You almost just want to do it so it's only just folded in. And almost if you've got a little bit of flour, don't worry. I'd rather you did it less than more, because the more you keep beating it all up, the more you're bashing out that air, and you don't want that. So now this is just going to be an ordinary plain one. And I would stay there, Nathan, because I'm going to get the tin now. So what we're now going to do is get that batter into the tin. Now again, pour it from a very low height, because if you pour it from high height, you're bashing out all of that air again. And that's not what we want. You want it to be lovely and frothy. So you can see the amount of ingredients in this is really minimal. But I mentioned about the colours, and what you can do is colour and flavour these. So this one is just a plain one. I could have added a drop of vanilla into this one. But what you can also do is, instead of the 75 grams or 80 grams of the flour, you could remove about 30 grams of that and use cocoa powder, and then you can get a chocolate one. For the red one, Nathan, if you could just do a close-up of that. For the red one, I actually, in the batter, added a little bit of this, which is a blueberry concentrate. This is just a cherry active or blueberry concentrate. Just a very small amount. Obviously you could add ordinary, natural colourings, acai powders, very good, beetroot extract, just to get that colour as well. So you can colour them all. I'm probably going to start doing a rainbow one next time. So you could colour the batter. So once you've done that, again, hold it very carefully. You do not want to bash it around, and we're going to get that in the oven. You're going to need to cook it for around about 12 to 13 minutes. I know that sounds precise, but the last thing you want to do with the Swiss roll is overcook it, because then you won't be able to roll it. So let me get that one in the oven. And again, be very gentle putting it in. If you bash it in the oven, you're again knocking out even more air. So you're going to give yourself 10, maybe 12, 13 minutes cooking that. When it comes out, it will be just quite light golden brown. While it's cooking, you need to get yourself a clean tea towel and you're going to pop it on your work surface like that. Then you're going to place on that some more greaseproof paper. So let me just pull this one over that I was using earlier. So just a large piece that's large enough to hold your whole Swiss roll tin so that you'll then be able to roll it up. And you'll see on here I've scattered it with a little bit of extra xylitol just to give it a bit more texture and flavour. When it comes out, you're going to tip it onto your greaseproof paper here. And then you're going to take off the sheet of greaseproof that was on there. So this one, because I've allowed it to cool, I flavoured with cocoa powder. So this is a chocolatey one. You need to leave your sponge to cool before you fill it. So all I've done here is I've taken off the greaseproof paper that was lining the tin, discarded that, and left it to just cool down. You don't need to trim it, it should come out perfectly fine. If you've greased it, it should come out absolutely fine. So now the filling. So there's a few things you can do. For the strawberry one, what I actually did was I just filled it with some pure fruit spread. So these are jams. I'm just going to move over here a sec to get my filling. These are jams that just are fruit. You could make your own, and you could I've got a recipe for the chia jam on my website, so you could make your own. I think we've got a question.
Karen asked,
Hi Karen!
Do you cool it in the tin?
Good question. Do I cool it in the tin? So what I generally do is I allow it about 2 or 3 minutes just to cool down so I can hold it. And then I quickly tip it out. So you're tipping it face down so that the greaseproof paper is at the top. And then you're going to pull that off, but don't pull it off immediately. Let it then, once it's on your greaseproof paper, let it cool for about 5 minutes before you gradually peel off that greaseproof. Otherwise, because the sponge may be still hot, you may pull off some of the actual sponge as you do that. So really, I try and flip it out as quickly as possible, but obviously don't burn your hands. So I leave it about 2 or 3 minutes. So good question. Then allow it to cool. Now some people also roll it up while it's still warm in this greaseproof paper. You can do that. I don't know that it really makes any difference to it cracking, but you could sort of play around. But I often will just leave it to cool like this, and then we can roll it. Now I mentioned the jam. The best way though of spreading it is just to put it in a saucepan and warm it. Not so it's boiling, but it just makes it a bit runnier. So I've got this one is a pure fruit, I think this one is a raspberry one. Back of spoon, just pour it in. Now what you will need to do, and I think Nathan it might be worth you doing a close-up now, is you don't want to go right to the edge, because obviously when you start rolling, and there's another reason as well, because I'm going to fill it with something else as well, but when you start rolling you will find that it will, you know, squidge out the sides. So I tend to leave about 1 centimetre at least on the edges, and obviously you could use, you know, homemade pure fruit spread. Sometimes what I actually do, rather than using an actual jam, particularly at this time of year when you've got a lot of fresh fruit out, is just to get a load of raspberries, blitz them up. If you want to, you could sieve them and just use the puree. You know, I mean, there's no reason to go and buy a jam. You could just use a fruit puree. The other thing you could do is fold some fruit into either some Greek yogurt or something like coconut yogurt. And what I've got in here is I've got a combination of Greek yogurt, so this one is not going to be dairy free, and creme fraiche. And I'm just going to fold that together. When I'm doing it for Isaac, who doesn't do dairy, then this is really nice. I don't know if you can see that, Nath. These are the new yogurts by Nush, and these are almond milk dairy-free yogurts. They are unbelievably good. Just want to show you what they look like because they're so, look at that, isn't that gorgeous? It's just fruit and almond yogurt. They also do a cashew one as well. So this one is perfect. If you want to do something different from, say, coconut yogurt or soy yogurt, if you're dairy free, then use these ones. These are slightly runnier, so just, just be careful how much you put on. But those are absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to top, that's why I haven't put a huge amount of jam on, because what I'm actually going to do is just top this one with a bit of the Greek yogurt with a little bit of creme fraiche. You could use all Greek yogurt. And don't use Greek style, that's rubbish, it's not the same. Use proper strained Greek yogurt, it's a lot thicker as well. But if you find that your yogurt, say you've made it yourself, is not overly thick, then what I often do is overnight strain it in some muslin or even some clean old tights in the fridge, and then you get almost like a cream cheese texture rather than a slightly runnier yogurt. And the way that you collect, you can then use in any fermenting recipes that we've done in the past, because we've run a lot of fermented days and I've shown you how to do that. So you can see there again, I've got that nice gap. That just, one, makes it easier for me to roll, but also you're not going to have it all skewed up. So I will keep there, Nathan, because I'm just going to show you now how to roll. So use your grease-proof paper to help you. So this would be nice and cold now, and you're going to just very carefully, and this is just extra xylitol, by the way, if you're wondering what that white is, and you're going to use your grease-proof paper. Ideally do this very quickly, but obviously I want to show you, and I don't want to get in the way, so I'm just going to show you like that. And just use your grease-proof paper to help you. Can you see that? Isn't that gorgeous? And what I'm going to do is just, can you get that, Nathan? I don't know if you can see that. So hopefully it hasn't all skewed out like that. And if you do it gently, then you'll see that it just go on the top, Nathan, like that. There aren't really many cracks at all. And that's because it's been cooled properly, and all I've done is just use your grease-proof paper to help roll it. Don't push it down, don't force it. And that is literally all you need to do to make a Swiss roll. What I'm now going to try and do, and this is probably where it will take, is just transfer it onto a serving tray. If you've got any questions about how to make it, hopefully I've shown you that it's actually quite easy. This is just a fish knife, and I'm just going to place that on there, and let me just cut a couple so that you can see how easy it is. I've also mentioned, as someone asked, you don't have to use a ready prepared gluten-free flour mix. I sometimes will use a combination of rice flour and corn flour. Just use half and half. That tends to work as well. So if you don't have a gluten-free mix. So I've got here, this is the pink one. Don't know if you can see this one, which I have flavoured with the cherry active juice. And I've just filled that one there with the pure fruit spread. So you can see how gorgeous that looks when I just tip it. So you can see that there. So you might just want to go above, Nathan, with that one. And then I'll just clean that knife. And then I'll just show you and obviously if you are a student doing GCSE, presentation is everything. So sometimes it's quite nice as well just to drizzle over a little bit of chocolate or icing sugar, you know, to improve the attractiveness. So let me just push that down like that. And there we have it. So I don't know if you can get those, Nathan, but there we have a healthier, gluten-free Swiss roll. So I hope you've enjoyed that cook-along. Very simple, great recipes, perfect for the summer. And I just wish you a very happy Saturday and enjoy the recipe. Take care, everyone.